What's up, Canes? Gators struggling, but they have a chance here to do some damage. Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. We got a big region win tonight. Uh, we are still undefeated in region play. Looking good. We got some, dude. I didn't even realize that we actually got some serious games tonight. Like Ole Miss, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida, LSU, Mississippi State, and then Virginia, Stanford, and Virginia looks like they're playing well. Virginia up 11-5 in the eighth. That's big for them, man. This is like a big series, could turn the season around for them. And then LSU's taking the lead against Mississippi State. And this is a big series for Mississippi State. I mean, it's even bigger series for Florida, right? I mean, Mississippi State's at 1-5, so it's not much different. Congrats. Let's go, Kyle. Thanks, man. Missed you today. LSU just hit 2 homers to pull ahead. Yeah, I was just not able to stream today, unfortunately, during the day. But I saw like later in the day, I was like, oh wait, we got some big games tonight, so I knew I'd probably be able to stream tonight. So it wasn't a big deal. I figured you guys would be watching these games. All right, I'm pulling. I got the Florida game up right now. We're gonna bounce between because Stanford, Virginia is almost over. And it looks like Virginia's got a pretty solid lead there. But these other games, these SEC games are pretty tight right now. We alluded to this happening a few months ago, but what are your first thoughts on Coach actually retiring? I'll tell you what, man, it's kind of like I mean, yeah, I think that conversation's been going around, but I mean, listen, what you have to say about Danny Hall is like he turned Georgia Tech into Georgia Tech, you know? Georgia Tech is Georgia Tech because of Danny Hall. And it's in some regards, he's had in the last like decade, there's been some down years, and he's just he's a victim of his own success because he turned. I mean, listen, Georgia Tech for 20 years was a powerhouse in college baseball, and so I mean, it's sad because like you like he's just been the guy there for. I mean, listen, my freshman year was 2010, the fall 2010. And he recruited me a couple years before that. So like I've known the guy for almost 20 years and he's been the head coach that whole time. So, I mean, I hope he goes out with a bang, man. That's what I hope. I hope he goes out with a bang. I hope they have their best postseason showing in a long time. It would be a great time for it. But it's kind of, I mean, it's kind of sad to think about, just to be honest. But I think he's had a hell of a career. I mean, he's a legend in college baseball. There's just no other way to say it. James Ramsey or Troy head coach, I'm guessing, are the two choices after what you heard at the ABCA. Yeah, I mean, I think those are the two names that I hear when people talk about it. And I'm sure Kendall Rogers will have a list out on D1, so we'll look at that. But I think when you think about, is Georgia Tech going to pay to go get a top guy? It's like a top head coach. No, they're not going to. So then you're looking at, again, like young mid-major head coaches that you can look at as being like the future of the program, or like top assistants, and obviously James is one of those. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens in this next week or two to see if anything's announced, and if not, I think you're going to a after the season kind of interview process that I'm sure James will be involved in, and it'll just be interesting to see who the other guys are. Color guy on LSU just had a great call on the Dickinson at bat. Pitcher got to 2-2, and he said, "Go shake fastball here. Do not miss off speed." Kid misses with the curve and gives up the bomb on the 3-2 fastball. Yeah, and that's great. Like that exactly, Buck. Like that's like the game within the game. It's like, Are you going to call a fake shake? Like that happens all the time, right? Where um, you shake. Sometimes guys shake to the fastball, or then they'll do a fake shake, and like you're trying to get the hitter to be like, okay, in this count, what's a normal pitch call? A slider. Okay, you shook there, so it's probably a fastball coming. And then you get to like the next level of thinking. Whereas even as a hitter, like I remember in AAA thinking this all the time. Like a guy would shake 3-2, and I'm like, he's just fake shaking. Like he's just doing that to try to get me off something. So that is like the next level of the game, man. Is like that fake shake or just the shaking it. I think those two are good options. Troy head coach is doing good work. Yeah, no, I think for sure. I mean, a lot of the Georgia Tech faithful, I think, are, if you like what Ramsey's done. So I think I think James has an advantage going into it, whatever it ends up happening, whether if he's just named it outright or if he's, going into an interview process, because he's done a heck of a job at Tech. I mean, he's one of the best hitting coaches in the country. He's one of the best recruiters in the country. So, I mean, and again, he's very like, I coached with him, so I know James. I know how he is. I mean, he's very organized. He's very process oriented. He's very well versed, and he's got to learn behind DH for a long time now. It's been almost 7 years now. So again, it's like you're looking for a guy like that who's learned behind a legend. And James kind of fits all those things. So, but it's going to be interesting, man. I mean, I did not expect it to happen today. I will say, Dusty shot me a text literally like 7 minutes before they announced it. He was like, I'm hearing that a prominent head coach is going to announce his retirement soon. And like, I knew who he was talking about. And I said, really? And then like 5 minutes later, they tweeted it out. So shout out to Dusty on that. Glad Zach is ninja tonight. Last night was the worst game I've ever seen in my life as a fan. It was worse than last year's Bethune-Cookman. Yeah, me and Dusty were texting about it. He just texted me and was like, Mississippi State just defended a safety squeeze perfectly. All right, let's go over to the Mississippi State LSU game, because that's a one-run game right now. All right, I'm going to get the replay here, Buck. LSU safety squeezing in the 5th inning. The analytics says not to do it, though, I want to see this play. I need this replay, man. Oh, it was a bad bunt, huh? Yeah, I mean, I think he's out. Willy Wonka, hello. I will say this about the SEC. Their replays go really, really fast. Jeff Head, SEC umpire. That's his name. That old guy with the gray hair, Jeff Head. Felt like I wasted 3 hours of my life. No, I mean I'd be frustrated if I were you right now, man. It's just tough. I mean, there's nothing worse in a season in baseball, like at any level, when it just seems like it's starting to fall away from you, and you're just like, man, is the season over? Again, Miami's season isn't over, but I think they need to win against UNC. What is this camera, Buck? I'm getting nauseous watching that center field camera. This kid's been a stud, man. And he's lived up to the hype. He's supposed to be, maybe the best freshman bat to make it to campus. Oh my, that should have been hit a mile right there. They didn't show the replay on the bunt, but it looked like the bunt was kind of suspect. You could tell me, though. Curriel is becoming must-watch ABs. Yeah, man, he's good. He's good. Like really high-level plate discipline for a freshman. play. I think he's starting in center field, right? Plays a good center field. Just a good at bat every time up, pretty much. But you're right. Little wind blowing, man. Little. I was getting nauseous just watching the screen for 5 seconds. I got to text Dusty, tell him we're live, tell him to get in here. But this is so back to the Georgia Tech announcement, because this is like obviously the biggest news of the day in college baseball. I do think there's something that you have to think about now in the game is that when something like this is announced, like recruits can start to get worried. And I do think, like, let's say they wait till the end of the season, they do they interview however many candidates. You may lose out on some recruits, and especially some bigger name guys, because they may think, do I want to come in? Especially if they start to get the feeling that, like, it's one thing if like, all right, Ramsey's the head coach, he's the guy that recruited me, that's fine. But if you start to get if you start to feel like, I don't know, like they may go a different direction, then as a recruit, you're like, now the one thing that is going to help Georgia Tech with that is the recruiting landscape right now, especially for like the kids in the 25 class, kids in the 26 class. With all these changes, I think a lot of people will be hesitant to decommit because they're just like, well, there may not be anything else out there. Now the top guys in a class will probably be like, you know what, someone else is going to want me. But so that's another thing to watch as this all plays out. And that, like, again, sometimes it is the best decision, like, in a certain schools that you guys know I'm talking about, to think about the next 10 years instead of next year. But Kyle, where are they going? There's not many spots open. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly the point I was saying. Yeah. But like the thing is, Canes, like there is spots if you're a top guy. Like if you're a top 50 guy, someone will scoop you up. They'll make room for you. So I do agree, Canes. I think this is the least likely time in college baseball for you to see that happen, but it does happen. And I mean, we had commit. I mean, listen, we had a commit to A&M that decommitted last summer, like 2 weeks before he was supposed to enroll early because of the coaching change. So he ended up finding a great place, and he was like a highly sought after guy. So as soon as he decommitted, there was a bunch of guys that were. But like our rule with our players is like, if there's a coaching change and you want to decommit, I'm never going to tell you to decommit. And a lot of times, what I tell players, if there is a coaching change, I say wait till we find out who it's going to be. And I'll tell you what what my opinion is of them, and I'll talk with them, and we'll figure it out. But this guy in particular, he just didn't feel great about it, especially with the pitching coach leaving, with Max Wiener going to Texas. He's a pitcher, and so he ended up committing to another Power 4 school. But so that does happen. That does happen. I've been wondering the same about our commits, but it's just hard for them to decommit. Yeah. It is, and it's you're not as much worried about like the middle of your pack of your class or like the bottom part of your class. You're worried about those top 3 or 4 guys that probably had 6 or 7 teams that were really interested and may have even offered. Generally in baseball, you don't there's not many players that get a whole bunch of offers because like most schools just have an idea of like they're not going to come here. But certainly your top 3 or 4 guys had a lot of interest. Like they may jump ship. That's what you're worried about. Because theoretically, those top 3 or 4 guys should be stars in your lineup, right? Or stars on the mound. It doesn't always work out like that, right? I'm proof of that. But those are the guys you're worried about. If you're going to lose anybody, those are the guys. FSU made room for a top 75 player, then decommitted from us. That decommitted from us in the summer, though, 2025 kid. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like if you're a really top guy, like they'll find a way to get you on campus, right? And with the rules now, you can bring in 38. So you're like, okay, we'll bring him in, and then he'll be like, he's going to make the team, probably. And then you'll just have to cut a guy that, you might not have expected to cut, but that's the game now. So that's something to watch as this all develops. But yeah, I mean, talking to all my guys that I played with, I think all of us like knew this was coming soon, right? It's just like he's felt like it was coming soon. It's just kind of that time where most guys who are legends like him step away. But none of us knew this was coming today. And even Dusty, I think he found out a little bit earlier in the day. But none of us expected it to happen in the season like this. And it's a scary time for a Georgia Tech fan because, listen, what you can say about DH is he turned it into a powerhouse. He turned Georgia Tech into a powerhouse. And you just knew you were going to field a really good hitting team every year. There were some, when I was playing at Tech, we had stud pitchers, but we ran through a time where the pitching was kind of tough. But like the grass is not always greener. Like Dusty always says that, right? The grass is not always greener. And sometimes you may think you got the best coaching candidate you could possibly get, and it doesn't work. So the scary thing is, like, this is the first time in Georgia Tech in the last 30-something years that a new head coach will be at the helm next year. So that it can be exciting, Canes, but there is some. It's scary as well, right? Because that happens to teams. Teams that look what happened to Rice after Wayne Graham left. Now I don't think Georgia Tech's it's not the same thing, but programs drop off into obscurity all the time. Now, I don't think that will happen to Georgia Tech because it's in a recruiting hotbed. It's still in the ACC. Like it's going to be fine there. But we've seen what's happened at A&M this year, right? And no one expected that. Anderson, lefty starter for LSU, didn't have his off speed tonight, so lasted only 4 innings, a bit wild, and 3 home runs. He could end up like Miami. We had Ron Frazier and Jim Morris. Yeah. Yep. Can't make the same mistake we did. Well, and that's what I'm saying is like sometimes sometimes you think as an AD, I've never been in that position, but like I can imagine that sometimes you feel like, man, we got our guy. This is the guy we wanted, and then it doesn't work. Like that happens, right? So there is some fear there of what comes next. That's it, James Ramsey. Sorry, brother, but it has to be the Troy head coach. Can't go down the Miami path. I mean, again, I think James is the front runner, but we just have to see how it plays out. And I do think, listen, from being around James, like I think he is a very good candidate to take over a program because I just think he's very detailed. He's very organized. He's good at all the stuff you have to be good at as a head coach. So I think Ramsey would be the best hire. Just my opinion, but I can see why an AD is going to want to look at different options if that's what happens. Mishires happen. Different being the head guy versus assistant coach. I'd always be biased toward a head coach from a mid-major, proven program builder. No, I mean, that's a great argument, Buck. I mean, there is listen, like head coaching experience is irreplaceable. But again, like programs hire guys that like I said, that are big time winners at mid major programs, and then sometimes they don't work out. So we just have to wait and find out what happens. Let's go back to the floor, see what's going on in the Florida game here. I agree. I think he develops people. I think it's different than the Miami situation. I mean, he is without a doubt like a top 3 hitting coach in the country. His offense is always improve. His hitters always improve. His offenses are always near the top of the country, top of the ACC. So you're going to have a top offense, like you just know. And I think knowing James, I think he'll be running the offense. I'm sure he'll hire a hitting coach or whatever, but like he's still going to be very heavily involved in the hitters' development, in running the offense, everything like that. What kind of pro prospect do you think Milam is at LSU? I'd have to watch him more. I don't know enough. It's like the thing is this, Buck, like it's funny because there's all these people that like put rankings out on guys and they've like never seen him play in person. And I think that's what's missing a lot in scouting nowadays, or just in player development and everything like that. Like you really need to see a guy play in person to have an idea of what his makeup is, everything like that. Like watching me on TV is great. So I don't like putting out rankings on guys even based off stats, because if I don't know he's a legit shortstop, like the difference in where you're picked if you're a shortstop in college based on if scouts think you can play shortstop in the big leagues or not is massive. And there's like very, very, very little shortstops in college that will play shortstop in the big leagues, even the top guys. It's just that difficult. So for Milam, I'd have to watch him play, and I'm just talking in general about different positions. But was Danny Hall an assistant coach of Jim Morris? No, he was the head coach at Kent State. He was an assistant at Michigan. Became the head coach at Kent State, won a lot there, and then got the job for Georgia Tech after Jim Morris left. So he never worked under Morris. Agree. Totally different watching a guy live versus video. Yeah, and you get to see listen. It's like what does he look like in BP? How does he take ground balls or run down fly balls in the outfield during BP? Does he look like he has a high motor? Does he look like he's focused? There you go, Kyle. Yeah, I know. I knew you were getting at that. But again, look at what Tony Vitello did, Canes. Was he a head coach before Tennessee? No, he was just a top assistant behind legends of the game now. They're two of the best head coaches in the game right now, and Dave Van Horn and Jim Schlossnagle. So, you talk about James Ramsey. He was an assistant under Mike Martin, Sr., and then he became the hitting coach at Georgia Tech. He worked under Danny Hall, so he's worked under a couple legends, like serious legends. So I get, and trust me, I think most of the time, like a guy with head coaching experience that's won is like usually should be a top candidate. But I think teams do miss because sometimes they weigh that too heavily. And again, just look at like what Tony Vitello's done at Tennessee. Like he's probably the best coach in college baseball right now based on how his program is played. So it can go both ways. It can go both ways. I agree, but the historical trend that Georgia Tech has gone with has worked. Although the last time they did this was 30 years ago, a different landscape now. Yeah, yeah, it's a different landscape. How old is Ramsey? He's got to be 34 or 35. He's just a year or two older than me. So I think he's 35 because I turned 34 in April in about a month, or a little less than a month. So he's like a year or two older than me. So he's 35, maybe 36. Yeah, and I think that's what, like, the hiring for Georgia Tech has to be. This is a guy that can lead our program for the next decade, or you hope you get the reality is that not many coaches last even a decade, but you hope that you're hiring a guy that can be there for a decade. That's what you're looking for. Florida with the leadoff single here. Ole Miss is up the lead to 7-3. That is how baseball is. Yeah. And that's why, to me, again, Paul Maneri is like a legend coach. Like, he's a legend. I just did not see that coming at South Carolina because he's not going to be there too long, right? I mean, you don't expect him to be there till he's like 90. Um, so I think Paul Maneri it was just a surprise hire because I don't think anyone knew he was wanting to get back in the game. I'm sure people close to him knew that, but you want your coach to be the guy for 20 to 30 years. Although job security was more of a premium back then, now it's more of a win now mentality with the portal. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely harder because before the portal, for like most teams, you knew, like, if you just had a like when I came in as a freshman, the year prior they lost 15 guys to the draft. They were the number one team in the country for most of the year. So you expected it to be like a down year, and we still like crushed it. We won the regular season title in the ACC. I think we went 22-8 in the ACC. Hosted a regional, but like, you kind of expected for a coach that every couple of years there was going to be like a down year where you were just really young, and sometimes your team overperformed, but sometimes they just kind of played like they were 4 or 5 freshmen in your lineup. You don't have that anymore because with the portal, it's like we should be competing every year, and it's like Zeke said up when he was on the stream, like, you're not recruiting on a 3-year timeline now. You're recruiting for next year. And so with that is added pressure as a head coach because there's no excuses anymore. Unless you're taking over a program that's really in a bad shape, if you're coming into an ACC program, the expectation is like you should be able to get some pretty good guys. Prime example is Georgia. Back-to-back years, they look like a juggernaut, make other ADs look and say, why aren't you doing that? Yeah. Yeah, and Georgia's just done a great job in the portal, man. They've done a great job in the portal. Right? They may be the oldest team in the SEC this year, but they're winning. Like, who cares? You know? So they identified some huge bats in the portal and just hit home runs on those guys. So you're right, Canes. Like, Georgia, no one expected Georgia to do what they did last year. Boom, they just balled out. And then this year they're balling out. I have JD on voice recording saying that exact thing Zeke said. Yeah, I mean, it's true, man. The first 3-ball count the Gators have had offensively all night in the top of the 7th. is what the announcer just said. Wow. Florida's got 2 runners on, 1 out here in the top of the 7th. A big situation here for the Gators if they're going to get kind of back within striking distance. 2 runners on, 1 out. 2-0 count to the center fielder. And this is a situation where as a coach, you're like, hey, like you got to be really selective here. He's thrown 2, not anywhere close to the zone. You can't make an out here. If you're swinging at a pitch, it better be a good one, and you better not miss it. Got to hit it on the barrel. Sorry, can't root for the guy with the waxed handlebar mustache batting for Mississippi State. Hey, anything to go viral on social media, Buck. Let me know what happened. Since you came on stream, I took the game off. I'm not home to have 2 screens. Okay. Well, it's a 3-1 count now, so like I always tell my hitters, in a 3-1 count, I'd rather, like if you're going to miss out front foul, then get beat. You get beat in a 3-1 count, man, I'm going to throw something in the dugout. Well, bases loaded. Ball 4. And I'm really selective here if I'm Florida's hitter because this guy is all over the place. Tying run is now at the plate for Florida. A little mound visit here. Which number in the order is up? I'm not sure. Sear, is it Sear? I don't always forget how to say his name. Ball 1. Like you got to be selective here as a hitter, man. Like you can't help the pitcher out in this situation. He's feeling all the nerves. He's scared to death. He's going to walk another hitter. Like you cannot give him an easy out. He hasn't had a good game. Made an error in the outfield, lost the ball in the lights, but Ole Miss had terrible base running and didn't capitalize. Man, if I'm at the plate now, it's 2-0 count. He's thrown 6 out of the last 7 pitches, not even close to the zone. Like it's got to be perfect, and it's a home run if I hit it. 3-0 now. Nothing competitive. Nothing competitive. I mean, shoot, man. At this rate, I'm not taking a swing until I'm at 2 strikes. Keep passing the bat back. Right down the middle. But the same thing here, 3-1. Like it's got to be right where I'm looking for it, and I'm not missing it. I'm going to pull it foul or hit it out. Base hit, hits on the nose. Two-run single. I thought he did for a second. He hit it hard, but it was on the ground, and shortstop was playing kind of up the middle. I don't know. Man, their Ole Miss is just getting guys going in the pen, man. What is going on? I mean, this guy hadn't been able to find the zone for 2 hitters. And he's still throwing balls, man. Right now, Ole Miss's pitcher, like, don't get me wrong, he's throwing hard, but you know it's either right down the middle or it's not even close to the zone. No, they already had a mound visit. They already did a mound visit. And then the catcher came out and talked to him before this hitter, but now he's 2-0 count again. But this is going to get out of hand if they don't make a change here soon. This has to be his last hitter if he doesn't get him out. And he takes a pitch, middle in, perfect pitch to hit, belt high. 2-2 count. 2-1 count. The moment was too big for him. Oh, my. Bad at bat. Bad at bat, strikes out on a hanging breaking ball. He got a great pitch to hit and just took it. I mean, Blake Sear at the dish. Breaking ball for strike 1. It was the 2-hole who struck out before Sear. This LSU reliever, Conan, is nasty. Transfer from DBU, apparently. 95 with good slider and change. He's a max effort guy, so relief only. Yeah, I mean, LSU's got a bullpen full of those guys. Yeah, I love the quality of bat metric. Yeah, the funny thing about quality of bat metrics is, like, it, generally speaking, it tends to show who the best hitters are. Right? Because if you can see a lot of hitters, a lot of at bats, a lot of pitches in an at bat, it means you're a confident hitter. You're not scared to get to 2 strikes. So generally, a guy with a lot of quality at bats is, the guys with the most quality at bats are usually the best hitters on their team. Oof. Yeah, Sear, bad call there. It looked like a fastball about 2 or 3 inches off the plate for strike 2. But now you know he's going to call that, right? So you cannot take that here in this situation. You got to fight that if he throws it. What are we doing? Striking out on a hanging slider, not even swinging. I mean, you got runners on first and second with 1 out, and both your guys go down just bad at bats. All right, let's go back to the LSU Mississippi State game. Be right. I gotta grab something real quick. All right, we're back. All right, here's Milam Buck. 31% K rate for Sear. Yeah, that's tough, man. In college, that's crazy. He's a switch hitter too, Buck. That's it. That's a plus. Small guy though. Looks like he's pretty. Looks like he's about 5'7". Yeah, Altuve type. Yeah, yeah. I'd have to see him. Like I said, I mean, like it's good rule of thumb is that like probably not going to stick at shortstop in the big leagues. You know, it's one thing to be like he'll probably get a chance. Like if wherever he gets drafted, probably have a chance to play short and see if he can prove it. But just generally speaking, like almost all the guys that are drafted as shortstops end up moving off the position. LSU needs some cushion. Good swing. Just got jammed a little bit, maybe. I like his swing though. LSU really wants to add some runs on here. A one-run game in this era of college baseball is just like the scariest thing in the world. This little submarine guy from Mississippi State can pitch, man. Pounding the zone, changing speeds. And what most hitters do wrong when they face a guy with like a weird arm slot is they're still looking up here instead of down here. And so they don't pick stuff up very well because they're not looking where the release point is. Right? So this guy, you're looking at his waist. And there's the out. This Hernandez catcher for LSU transfer from Indiana State must be part of that Puerto Rico pipeline that Indiana State has. Yeah, has to be. Hey, Puerto Ricans can catch, man. You talk about the best catchers in the game, it's Puerto Ricans.
last week for us. Here at home, and then at Liberty on Tuesday. We've been trying to work towards something to play better and more consistent.
Virginia officially beats Stanford. They've snapped the 5-game losing streak. And Stanford all of a sudden started out really hot in ACC play, and they've not all of a sudden they've kind of started. Are they regressing back to the mean, or are they just having a down little stretch here? All right, Mississippi State, 6 more outs to try to tie this thing up. Yeah, Cowan's painting. Cowan is painting. Cooper flag. What I didn't see. What did he do? I'm not watching the Florida game right now, Buck. What happened? Man, 3-pitch strikeout for Cowan. Perfectly thrown changeup. Nasty. Not that many fans at the game for LSU, or not nearly as much as I'm used to seeing. He hit a logo 3 at the half buzzer. No surprise. What's the score in the Duke game? I don't know basketball at all, college basketball, so I think he plays for Duke. Am I right? You guys, this is where you guys are like, Kyle, you're a moron. He doesn't play for Duke. I'm pretty sure he does, though. I think Cowan's on immaculate inning watch right now. 6 pitches, 2 strikeouts. 7 pitches, 7 strikes. If you listen to the Mississippi State LSU game, what is the announcer saying? The guns are a little bit juiced now. Eight pitches. Oh. Oh, he missed it, man. Still, these hitters are clueless against Cowan right now. They look lost. Three strikeouts. 10-pitch inning, 3 strikeouts. Just missed the immaculate inning. All right, let's see what Florida's doing. Wait. Where are my games? Okay, here we go. They're all the way back here. Nice. Oh, wait, no. What's going on? Why are they not on the thing now? BYU crushing West Virginia 9-4. Wait, what is going on here? There we go. Two outs. Ole Miss has scoring opportunity here. Two outs. Runners on first and third. Going to be pretty cool as next summer we're going to play a tournament at LSU Stadium as we're Marucci sponsored. Nice. That will be fun. I've never been there. I've never seen it in person. We get a tour of the Marucci factory, which I'm looking forward to mostly. Yeah, that'll be cool. I swung Marucci for a year or two. I didn't really like their bats. I liked Louisville Slugger and Old Hickory. Old Hickory was my favorite. I thought Old Hickory just had the best. That model that I swung in R58, who Garrett Cooper, who's played in the big leagues for a good amount of years now, was a teammate of mine in AAA and AA. That's what he swung, and I remember picking it up. I'm like, dude, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Thinner handle, like normal barrel, balanced. I did not like top heavy bats. LSU bunting for insurance runs. Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the LSU game. So did they just bunt the runner to second? LSU Mississippi State right now is the best just because it's a one-run game. But Florida Mississippi or Florida Ole Miss is 7-5 right now. But Ole Miss is threatening with two outs and runners on first and third. So they're both solid games to watch. Bunted runner to second with Curriel coming up at pitching change. Yeah, but they're going to a right-handed pitcher, so It's just hilarious because like you see all these guys that never played the game on social media talking about like high school coaches and like travel ball coaches, and they're like, "Yeah, my teams will never bunt. Bunting is stupid." And then it's like, okay, but Jay Johnson thinks it's a good idea to do at LSU. And again, I think in the big leagues they don't like. I'm not saying you do it all the time, but like in this situation, tight game, you got your best hitter coming up average wise, which makes sense. Like the guy that has the highest average, he's got the best chance of getting a hit. Hey, why are you talking about me? No, but it's just like it's like we threw like in a lot of areas of baseball, like we threw the baby out with the bathwater. It's like okay, maybe teams were bunting too much, but like that doesn't mean you just don't bunt at all. And I'm seeing it at the high school level, like guys can't bunt. Like even if you're in a situation where you're like, oh, we get this bunt down, we win the game, guys can't do it because they don't practice it. They don't practice it in travel ball. If you watch a lot of high school kids, if you told them, hey, square around and bunt, show me your form, most of them it's terrible. They have no idea how to bunt. They're all like they're like super disconnected from the bat. It's like way down here, and I'm like, dude, put your nose right by the barrel. I'm like, I want you being able to see this ball hit the bat, and they're terrified of it. They think they're going to get hit in the face. I mean, I got hit in the face once. A guy threw it up and in. I tried to bunt it, and it hit off the bat, hit me right in the chin. I still have a scar right here from it. I'll tell you what, I stayed in the game though. Was bleeding like crazy. Walt Smith came out, probably sprayed some cold spray on it, bandaged it up. And then I'm not kidding. This is literally what happened. This is how different baseball is. I go after the game, I go into the training room. The team doctor's there, and he's just like, "All right, we're going to sew it up on the table here." They put me on a table, no pain medication, nothing. And they put like a thing over my face with the hole where my chin stuck out. And the guy just stitched me up right there. They didn't put any kind of pain. They didn't put any lidocaine or anything in there. Didn't numb it up. Just stitched me up right there. I remember being like, that hurts. That hurts. That hurts. Interesting TO by LSU here. Did they just do a? I wasn't even watching. Did they do like a little meeting? In MLB, the show I always bunt. I play with speed, defense, and bunting. Boston College baseball. Nice. Ooh, dirt ball. Runner scoots up for LSU. That's why you bunt. So now at third base, what they're talking about, you see Josh Jordan kind of looking into the dugout, like, "Say, Jay, what do you want to run here?" So with one out here, you can run contact, meaning the base runner, if he sees contact, he is running home. And then obviously, if it's a line drive fly ball, he's got to try to get back. But you're taught on contact that if it's a line out to the infield, you're out. Like we're if we're running contact and they line out somewhere on in the infield, you're probably doubled off. Because the idea is if a ground ball's hit, we want you to get the best jump you can get to score. And so that's what they're talking about at third base. Are we running contact? Are we seeing it through up the middle? Like what? Ooh, it's a good pitch. Curriel's got to know, man. Like, and And that's a freshman right there at the plate. Like you have to know, I got to put this ball in play. Arm side run, 12-6 curve, 96 plus. Yeah, he's got it. Definitely started just in off the plate. But you got to know anything close. I have to put the ball in play because this run has to score. We need some insurance. High release point too, Buck. High release point. It's got arm side run, and then it's just straight 12-6 over out of the top. Those high release point guys are tough because they get such downhill angle. Even the fastball is tough to like kind of figure out where it's going. Canes, did you just send me something on X? Oh, nice. Kane's got the quad box going. Do you have your Apple TV set up down there? No, I don't. It's upstairs. We have one in our bedroom and then one in our living room, but we don't have. I don't have one down here. But I have like 3 monitors, so I can have multiple games up if I really want to. Oh man, how does that ball get by you? If you're Mississippi State, it's. I mean, it's right in front of you, right behind home plate. You just got to get in front of it and get on top of it. Yeah, and it really wasn't the stuff's fault, Buck. I mean, I don't know how that's not blocked. Let's see where he's. Oh, he's in the one knee stance. Oh, the alternative is you don't want to throw a fastball that's 97 with arm side run to a right-handed hitter. What am I hearing on the broadcast? I mean, like it doesn't matter how good you are as a hitter. Like the stuff, if you throw the stuff in the right location, it's like it's very tough for a hitter. That curveball's nasty though. Hey, that curveball's nasty. All right, let's see what Florida's doing real quick. See if they've done anything to tighten the game up. Nope, 5-7, and the guy's still in the game. The guy throwing, he's got 2 outs. 2 outs in the top of the 8th. Florida not looking like they're going to put anything together this inning. Morris is throwing 98 still. All right, let's go back to the Mississippi State game because that thing's getting. But remember, Canes, like 98 on these guns now is not the same as like 98 15 years ago. Danae is like the John Carlos Stanton of college baseball. What happened? Did he hit a bomb? Did he hit a bomb? I jinxed it for Florida. I said, look like they're going to put anything together this inning. Did he hit a bomb, Canes? Big time hit, and the defender dropped it. Runner on second for Florida. So was it an error or was it like a tough play base hit? Dude, you know what's crazy is these like medicine commercials where they're like, yeah, the only 50 I just watched this one on here. It said the only 50 people that died were also taking this. What? 50 people died in clinical trials? What? What? It just said that. The only 50 the 50 people that died was because they were taking another thing. Another one of the lights issues. Danae took a huge swing and hit a looper that the left fielder dove for and missed. Okay. And now the guy's throwing balls again. Cowan staying in the game. Going to be tough for Mississippi State with the way Cowan's throwing the ball. Death only occurs on rare occasions when taking Viagra. Dude, I'm not kidding. It was like a medicine. It was like a prescription for eczema, and it was like the only 50 people that died were also taking JAK inhibitors. I don't even know what that is, but it's just like, man, that's a hell of a thing to just like casually say on a commercial. Like 50 people have died taking this. I'm seeing so many swings at balls up out of the zone, like it's actually frustrating me. Like balls out of the hand that just should not be swung at are being swung at. Like at the shoulders. Like fastballs at the shoulders. I'm seeing so many swings at them. Hit to third and thrown out of first, ninth inning. Well, Cohen's got 7 strikeouts now. Yeah, I mean he's just dominating. He's just throwing strikes with 3 pitches, and it's funny how that works. Is the velo's not like crazy high, but he's just throwing 3 pitches for strikes. One more out to go for LSU. I don't know if it's bad luck. I mean, the second baseman looked like he was fielded that pretty easily. Hey, and that like this is like listen, like watch this guy hit a home run, and how big was that pass ball run for LSU? Will Clark also is at the game. Will the Thrill played for my dad with Baltimore. Uh-oh, LSU's catcher is dying right now. He got hit right in the knee. Yikes. He hit a home run in our ballpark 2 years ago when we played them. Charlie Green, he's now the bullpen coach of the Brewers, would say, "So you want to be a catcher?" Anytime something like that would happen, he was the catching coordinator for the Brewers for a long time. One of my favorite coaches I ever had. And he would see a catcher get nailed like that, and he would be like, "You got to love it to be a catcher. Got to love it." He'd get psyched up when that happened to a guy. That was interesting. Cohen wiped his glove twice to the catcher to signal something. What was that? That's usually shake. That's usually it's a way of shaking, but some guys do this. I don't know why. But this is a way to change the sign. He did it again there. He went changeup again after it. It definitely was the one he threw was 78. It was a changeup. 3-2 count. This is a big at bat because now if we get a walk here, tying run comes to the plate. Into the shift. LSU wins the game. First game of the series. All right, LSU, big win. I think it's funny when guys have the digital wristbands getting the pitches and they still shake yes to the catcher. Old habits die hard. Yeah. Florida has walked 13 guys tonight, and it's a 2-run ball game. So basically, the only reason they're losing is because they've walked 5 more guys than they've pitched in innings. That's a balk. That could be massive. His foot slipped because it's just flat up there, so there's nothing for him to kind of anchor into. And if the dirt's too loose, that will happen. But you're taught when that happens to just throw a pitch, like just lob it, like like just throw it straight in the ground. Like you're taught to just like throw it straight in the ground, soft towards the catcher, so that they don't get a balk call. But he didn't remember his training. Man, dude. Just falling behind. Announcer, these Rebels hitters have been in a lot of hitters counts tonight. This music in the background of the stream's got me in a trance now. I'm just hearing this like. This is big for Florida. I mean, they got to keep this lead at 2. All right, ninth inning coming up. All right, let's see if Ole Miss can close it out and put the Gators in a really tough position. They start out 0-7. Remember, there's 23 games left. If they're going to get to 13, they got to go 13-10 the rest of the way. Which basically means win every series with one loss, and you can't get swept. One losing series, and the rest you have to win, and you can't get swept, or else you have to sweep, and it comes even crazier. I shouldn't have had that afternoon coffee. Man, caffeine doesn't even affect me. And I've always been like that, but once you play pro ball for 7 years, you're taking like 300 milligrams minimum a day of caffeine or more. So like I can take 200 milligram caffeine or energy drinks right now, and I'd be able to sleep. I'd be able to go right to sleep if I did that. Now my wife, on the other hand, if she has coffee at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, she can't sleep. All right, so does Landon Strickland, who's hitting for Florida, does he realize, all right, if I get an opportunity to walk here, I gotta be careful with what I'm doing because my run doesn't mean anything. I gotta get on base. We have to have the tying run at the plate. Not a lot of fans in this Ole Miss Florida game either. Thursday night maybe. Nobody's got the weekend. It's like Friday night, Saturday's coming the next tomorrow. Ole Miss has got some velo, man. This guy's 98. Which again is like 15 years, 20 years ago, is probably like 95, which is still hard. There was a Vietnamese coffee shop near my son's game tonight, so couldn't resist. Oh, that sounds good. Dude, the best coffee is is Turkish coffee. I don't know if you've ever had it, but Turkish coffee is legit. Swinging at a pitch up out of the zone, man. Ball 3. Oh, never mind. Pop up. Why do I think it's 3 to 4 mile an hour off? Is the MLB the same? Yeah, it's all the same. It's because so Canes, like 20 years ago, there was no TrackMan, there was no Hawkeye, which is detecting the velocity right as it leaves your finger. You had you had a radar gun, and a radar gun was fairly accurate, but it wasn't detecting the ball right out of your hand. It was like maybe 10 feet off of your hand. Um, so the velos, it's not like a huge difference, but it's like, is it at the smallest difference, maybe 1 mile an hour, the biggest difference 2 or 3. So it's not like a huge difference, but it's enough to where like this is what all my friends say that I played with a tech. It's like everyone believes that like 6 or 7 years ago, right when TrackMan and Rapsodo and all this stuff was like put in all the stadiums, everyone thinks that like 7 years ago, everyone just started throwing harder. Like all of a sudden, the velo was just way higher across the game. Like one of the things we talk about is it's not just that like Georgia Tech or Ole Miss or these guys have like more guys throwing in the low 90s to mid 90s, but it's that like the mid majors, all like every arm they throw is throwing like low 90s. So it's just like across the board, everyone's throwing harder, or the gun is just like more accurate and picks it up right out of the hand, right after it leaves your hand. And just so you know, Kane's like when a fastball let's say the fastball leaves your hand at 91, by the time it crosses home plate, it's like 82. So like that thing starts decelerating as soon as it leaves your hand. So like the distance from where that speed is measured, it makes a big difference in what the velo is on the gun, because it doesn't just like stay 96 the whole time. When it crosses home plate, it's like if it's 91, it's crossing it at like 81 or 82. This guy's been sitting 98 for 12 straight pitches now. Yeah, I mean, he's got a good arm, man. Really good arm. Ole Miss has got some dudes throwing hard. Fastball's 10 miles per hour difference from hand to plate. Yeah, generally. It's like anywhere, for some guys it's different, but it's usually like anywhere from 8 to 10 miles an hour slower at home when it crosses home plate than when it leaves the hand. I've never thought about it that way. Fascinating. Yeah, it's not a lot of people know that, but like that's on a lot of the old radar and the radar guns they use now. It actually says that on the gun. It'll say like what it captured at wherever the speed was captured, however far away from the hand. It'll say like that what the velo is, and then below that will be another number, and that's generally what it crosses at home plate, what it was traveling when it stopped. And it's generally, like I said, if you're throwing like 90, 92, it's going to be crossing home plate at like 81. Sully to Miami? I don't think so. All right, guys, that's it for me. We got to watch all the big games. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll do some pre-series stuff. But thanks for watching with me tonight. I'll see you guys tomorrow.